I'm going to sag a little bit over here. Lean back. It's okay. It's really weird.
We're live.
Let's go.
Nicole, we're live.
Okay, hi. This is Nicole the Masters. I'm here at the Johnson Space Center with astronaut Jeanette Epps, and welcome to everybody to this fitness hangout part 2. Joining us from Sochi, I'm so excited. We've got Curtis Tomasevich, and I'm assuming some of your fellow bobsled team members. Can you tell us who's with you there in Sochi?
Yeah, I'm with Steve Holcomb, Steve Langton, and Chris Fote, and we are the USA 1 4-man team getting ready to compete here in a couple weeks in Sochi.
Awesome. I can't tell you what a privilege it is to have you guys connecting with us right on the cusp of the opening ceremony, so thank you so much for taking the time. This is a special opportunity. We also have Rich Froning joining us, CrossFit champion. Thanks so much, Rich. And maybe you want to tell us where you're at.
I'm here in my garage in Cookeville, Tennessee, my little gym at the house, so a little chilly.
Well, it's impressive. It looks really elaborate. Okay, and we also have Jared Crick with the Houston Texans joining us from Houston. Jared, thanks so much. Okay, so we've got a few minutes. Ultimately, we're going to be connecting with Mike Hopkins and Rick Mastracchio on the International Space Station. We'll probably have a few minutes for that. So we've got a few minutes just to talk amongst ourselves about workouts on Earth. So, I don't know, we'll start with you, Jared. Tell us what you're up to these days.
Right now, it's just a lot of playing tennis, bike riding, going on runs, that kind of thing. I don't have to really train as hard this time of the year, just being that the NFL season just concluded. So right now it's really getting our bodies back healthy and rejuvenated again. So right now I'm not being completely lazy, but I'm also not, hitting as hard as we usually do, come summer.
Gotcha. Taking advantage of the off season, if you understand. And we've got good weather here in Houston for that. A little bit brisk today, but otherwise good. It's like in the 30s, but I bet that can't compare to what it's like in Sochi. Curtis, what do you guys? What's the weather like there? Tell us about it.
Actually, it's pretty warm here. It's getting close to 50 degrees sometimes here in Sochi, which is pretty rare for Winter Olympics. Our training, as opposed to Jared's, is pretty peak right now. We're getting ready for obviously our big competition, and so we're not doing any of our off-season training. This is kind of high time for low volume and high weights, very quick sprints, so we get ready to push our sled as fast as we can.
Wow. So, and tell us, what time of day is it there, and what's your plan for the next 24 hours or so, just out of curiosity? Give us a glimpse.
Right now it's about 9:30 p.m. and opening ceremonies are tomorrow night, so that's kind of the next big event we're looking forward to. And for the next couple weeks, then we get ready for the 2-man competition on February 16th and 17th. And then the 4-man competition is the 22nd and 23rd.
Wow, we couldn't be more excited for you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Okay, and we still, I guess I take it back. I think we've got about 3 or 4 more minutes before we're going to get that link up with the space station. Rich, we know you've managed to rack up another championship since we talked to you. Tell us what's going on, and I'd love to hear more about that gym.
Yeah, well, our season's about to start up, so it's a little opposite of Jared. It's time to get serious with it, and the Open, I think, starts in about 3.5 weeks, and then from there it's you got a 5-week period of 1 workout a week that you have to send in or submit, and then after that regionals is May 17th through the 18th, and then the games is the last weekend in July. So it's that time of year again.
Yeah, gosh, it seems like it never stops with you guys. I mean,
it really doesn't. Yeah, you turn around and it's right there again. So interesting.
Yeah, gotcha. That gym looks a little different from the astronaut gym here on Earth, wouldn't you say?
It definitely does. We do have some of those components, but one thing I was saying to Nicole before we started this was that I'm sort of the novice to the group, because before becoming an astronaut, I worked out, moderately, but not as much as I have to now. So once I became an astronaut, I really had to up the game, and so seeing what you guys do is, we all kind of have to stay in really good shape and at a peak condition, and I'm still getting to that peak condition, but we're getting close, especially for EVA, and then as a countermeasure for living on the space station, which Mike and I think Rick will talk about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cute that you say you're the novice, because really I'm the weekend warrior over here. I'm not even remotely in the ballpark of any of you guys. But tell us a little bit about when you joined NASA, because it is a big deal to start training for spacewalks. Like, I think people probably underestimate how much upper body strength, especially you need to have for moving in that pressurized suit.
Exactly.
Can you tell us about, like, the first time you got in that suit? Was it a real eye-opener?
It was a real eye-opener, because we only do 3 hours the first time we're in the pool, and then we do up to 6 hours in the suit here on Earth in the neutral buoyancy lab. So the first time you do it, I think it's an eye-opener how difficult it is to move in the suit, because you have arm bearings and your range of motion is limited, and then you have these really stiff gloves as well. And so having the muscle endurance and the finesse to operate the suit together is what's important. And when you don't have those together, the suit will wear you out. So the first time you do it, the 3 hours absolutely wipes you out. And then you build up to 4 hours, 5 hours, and now 6 hours is what we're up to now. And so, like, last week I was in the pool with Chris Cassidy, and lasting the 6 hours and trying to keep up with him, a Navy SEAL. Yeah. And so trying to keep up with him, lasting the 6 hours, is crucial, because there's so many different tasks that you have to do, and you're outside, and you don't want to waste those resources. So you want to be able to last 6, 7, and in some cases, 7.5, almost 8 hours outside, just to get everything done, because you don't want to waste that precious time that you have outside.
So you were a runner before you joined NASA.
I was
would you say you're
runner.
In better shape now?
Way better shape now. Yeah, and I had to. I mean, if you're going to live on station and then come back in great shape, and no bone loss, nothing like that. One of the countermeasures is lifting heavy weights and loading your bones. Continue. So yeah, you have to up your game quite a bit.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Interesting. So, well, I'm sure it's been a steep learning curve.
Yeah, but the CrossFit and working out for the Texans can't. It's got to be a lot higher also. So I'll let these guys go.
All right, I'm hearing that we've got about 2 more minutes before we're going to connect with Mike and Rick on orbit. Just curious if any of you guys have seen any of their videos. Mike's been sharing he's been sharing his workouts from space, which is the first time we've had an astronaut sending those. And now, just within the last few weeks, we've actually gotten some videos of them, which are pretty intimidating. Yeah. I'm sure if we've recorded all of your interviews, they'd be equally intimidating, but for those of us.
But that's a rarity, because you never really see what goes on station, especially with the workout. A lot of that data is it's not tightly held. It's never been shared. So it's kind of cool to see how much workout they do, what kind of loads there. How do you load your weights in pretty much 0 G? And so that whole workout is amazing that they do.
Yeah, and we've learned a lot, from when we very first started the space station. We had different equipment, and now they've really evolved, learned a lot more about I think specializing in the upper body and even some of the neck.
Yes, and especially the larger bones like your pelvis and your and so a lot of the I think the places where you would lose bones, loading the bone there, and the resistive exercises that they do basically loads all the important bones. So you virtually have a lot less bone loss actually. So it'll be nice to see it's nice to see the videos that Mike has sent down for us. So
I think it's interesting too that they have a different incentive than probably anybody else on the planet for working out. The more they work out on orbit and stick to their regimen, the better for them when they return.
Oh, much better, yeah. Virtually no bone loss is amazing.
All right, and we're getting ready to connect, so we're all just going to stand by for a minute and stand by for mission control. Exciting. Yeah.
See how big he's got.
Okay. Station, this is Nicole Cludier the Masters, NASA Public Affairs Officer here in Houston for the Google Plus Hangout. How do you hear us? Okay. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, they were muted.
Okay. ACR, I'm sorry. We're not
Okay,
hearing.
Nicole, I'll try it again. How's this? Can you hear me?
Much better. We hear you loud and clear. Great to see you guys.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We're really looking forward to this.
Well, we're here with, you'll recognize this face, Jeanette, of course, from the Astronaut Corps. And we've got a lot of the familiar faces from the original Hangout that we did over the summer. So we've got Jared Crick with the Houston Texans, Rich Froning with CrossFit, and also Kurt Tomasevich and his bobsled team. So they're connecting live from Sochi.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and welcome to everybody. Did Peter not make it?
They had some weather issues where he's at, so unfortunately they were not able to connect. But we've got a great group, and everybody's really excited to hear from you. Why don't you and Rick tell us a little bit about what's going on there up, 250 miles above the Earth, and what your workouts are like now that you're in space?
Yeah, sure. It's so I've been up here a little over 4 months now, and Rick, I guess about 3 months. And so, our daily routine, we do a lot of science, we do a lot of maintenance on the station, but one of the most important that we do, and one of the big reasons we're here obviously today, is to talk about fitness and exercise. And so we have between an hour and a half to 2 hours a day that's dedicated our work time, part of our work time, to exercise to try and counteract all of the effects of microgravity. And so we're actually here in our gym on station, and we're floating next to the ARAD, the Adaptive Resistive Exercise Device. And this is our weightlifting machine up here on orbit. And so with this, we're able to do just about everything you guys can do. Well, maybe not everything. Power cleans and snatches and things like that we're not able to do. But we can certainly do squats, deadlifts, bench press, a lot of the core lifts, which are very important to us. Actually, about where the camera is sitting is also in this same module. We have a treadmill, and that treadmill is we use that for a lot of our aerobic conditioning, but it's also important to help us with things like overcoming the bone loss, as we have that impact of our feet and our running on the treadmill. That does help keep our bones strong. And then in a different module, we have a exercise bike. And so between these three things, the ARAD, the weightlifting, we do pretty much every day. And between the T2, the treadmill, and the exercise bike, we'll alternate between those. But again, about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day is what we do exercising up here.
So, Mike, I bet some of us are probably curious. You worked out a lot before flight. How did it compare now that you're on your first space flight? Was it much different than you were expecting? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a lot of it's the same. Your muscles get sore, you get tired. It feels good. It feels good to get that burn going. So in that sense, it's very similar. On the other hand, you do have to get used to this machine, because it doesn't operate quite the same way that what you're used to on the ground. In fact, if you want real quick, I'll give you a demonstration. Rick can talk to you a little bit, but I'll show you. You're going to notice the machine moves quite a bit as we work out. So as we're doing like squats, we have a vibration isolation system, because as we work out on this, we don't want all of the forces being imparted on the station. So you're going to see quite a bit of motion here as I do some squats.
Yeah, like Mike says, you'll see the machine actually moves as much as your body moves, and that's, like Mike said, is to avoid vibrating a whole space station. We're doing a lot of research up here where they don't want to have those vibrations affect the experiment. So you can see the whole platform, the whole machine actually moves up and down with Mike. The other thing that I noticed about lifting and running up here, of course, is the loads on your body are quite a bit different. Maybe when you're squatting 200 pounds down on the Earth and squatting 200 pounds up here, it's quite a bit different, because of all the load is on your shoulders when you put 200 pounds up here. It's not more evenly distributed.
Good squat, Mike.
And the only other thing I could... Yeah, he's been practicing all day. Yeah, I just want to say hello to all the other guys. We have a Team USA, a banner back here. We got a Houston Texans baseball hat, and we even have a picture of Kurt and a few of the other Olympians. So good luck to all you guys. Good to talk to you today.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, we definitely want to open it up to you guys for your questions. So, Kurt, Jared, Rich, or you and Jeanette, any questions for Mike and Rick? Feel free. And we've got some Twitter questions too. We'll weave in a little later, but I want to give you guys first dibs. So.
Yeah, we have a couple questions.
Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Okay, I guess yeah. One of our questions first of all we were wondering what's the max weight that you can squat in there. What's your bench max?
Yeah, you know, it is interesting. The machine actually goes up to 600 pounds. I don't get that close. My max squats that I'm doing are going to approach 400 pounds on sets of 6.
Not bad.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about squats that up here, it's a little bit different because it's not quite a Smith machine, because you can see we have the motion of the bar as we're going up and down. At the same time, though, there's no risk of falling backwards. So there's a tendency that you can just you can really sink down on your haunches and your heels, and you're not worried about losing your balance going backwards. So there are some things up here that are advantageous for us when we do things like the squats.
We had another question about how do you decide how much you're going to lift? I mean, does somebody write your programs? Is there a set regimen for what you're going to be exercising that day?
Yeah, we have a few trainers back at the Johnson Space Center. We work with them pre-flight, of course, and work out on a regular basis. And they give us a fitness evaluation, and they see what we could max out. And then based on our max values or based on what we do on a daily basis, they figure out a schedule for us. And then we start with that up here. And, of course, then we increase on a daily basis.
And I'd just like to add, one of the things we've been adding in here recently is some of these daily workouts, much what you might see with the CrossFit type activities. So more body weight type lifts. So what I'll do is to simulate an air squat, I'll put 185 pounds on here, and in the microgravity environment, that's pretty close to an air squat. And then I can do a lot higher reps, but with a lot less load.
Cool.
Hey, Mike. This is Jeanette. Howdy. Can you talk about how you eat on space when you're you're squatting 400 pounds? Do you eat a lot more?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. One of the problems that both Rick and I have had up here is maintaining our weight. I launched at about 185, 186, and I've spent a lot of my time up here in the 176, 178 range, and just can't get enough food in the body. You get full. You know, in one sense, you don't need as much fluid in your bodies, and so you tend to be a little bit lighter, I think, from that. But on the other hand, you know, the food up here is pretty good, but for whatever reason, you know, it seems harder to keep the weight on.
All right.
Hey, and I have a question for everybody out there. I'll probably start with Jared, actually. You know, so you just finished a football season, which can be pretty grueling on the body. And you know, Rick and I here in a few months, in fact, for me, in about 30 days, I'm going to start hitting in the recovery phase. And so I'm just kind of curious for you, what is the recovery phase after a very long season? How has your workouts changed, and you know, when do you start really building up again?
Well, honestly, right after our season got over, I did nothing at all for probably 2 weeks. And then lately I've been starting to get into tennis. We got a couple of tennis courts, you know, around the area. So I've been playing tennis for the majority of my workouts, but I'll go on a bike ride, you know, maybe 30-minute bike ride if it's nice out, and slowly starting to get back into my running regimen. And like you said, right afterwards, you want to kind of take it easy, let the body recover. But here in a couple months, we're going to be full bore again. So slowly, I'm going to start to increase my, you know, how long I go for a run for. I'm going to start lifting weights hard again. And, you know, pretty soon it's going to be time to get back in it. So right now, I'm enjoying the off season though. My body needed it after, you know, a 20-game season.
Yeah, you know, and I'd like to. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And Rich, actually, same kind of question for you. Obviously, you were quite successful again in the CrossFit Games. Congratulations with that.
Thank you.
But you know, after the CrossFit Games, how did you do with your workouts?
I do better, more of an active recovery, so I'd keep working out. Just the intensity wouldn't be as high, or the stress of working out wasn't there. You know, right now, I miss a workout and it gets a little bit more stressful. But after the games, it's kind of like just get something done, have some fun, maybe do some team workouts with some of the guys and girls that I work out with, and mainly just have fun working out. So that's over with though now. So it's about season time.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So it sounds like a lot of it is also just kind of a mental recovery as well, of just giving your mind a break from pushing so hard. And actually now, Kurt, and question for you guys and the bobsled team. You know, you guys are getting ready for the game. So how is your workouts at this point? Obviously, you're over in Sochi. Congratulations for all that. But you know, what do you try and do at this point? You don't want to push too hard, but you don't want to take off too much before the competition.
Yeah, we've got a pretty specific plan of how to peak our workouts so that we're going to be as strong and fast and powerful on the day of the race. And so it's a very specific plan that we're trying to follow right now. And you know, hopefully it works out as far as you know, maintaining our speed and strength at the same time, and not really having to worry about at all what happens in 2 or 3 weeks from now, just after the games. You know, if our bodies are shot at that time, you know, we really don't care. It's all about just that one performance on that one specific day.
Exciting. All right, I'm going to jump in here. We have some questions that were submitted by social media, so I definitely want to try to get a few of these in. This one was from Google+. I don't have a name, but it was for all of you. For anyone, what specific mental preparation routines do you use, if any, to help maintain the focus and motivation to work out consistently and for long periods of time at such an intense level? So maybe you can, all of you can weigh in on that one and offer your individual thoughts.
Well, I guess I can start.
Well, I'll just very quickly add for us on station. You know, we do it 7 days a week up here, and you really need to do it for this 6 months. And I guess the motivation for us from a mental standpoint is when you take a day off, you kind of feel guilty because you know, we don't use our muscles hardly at all up here, just moving around and working. And so this is all we get. And recovery for us can be challenging. And so it's you know, that helps us from a mental standpoint of keep going.
You were going to say?
Well, I was going to say, and you know, working out now in preparation for going to space, I think Mike is in great shape, but he was in great shape before he went as well. So I think before we launch, getting into great shape so that when you get there, you're just kind of maintaining almost and building more muscle. But you know, you're doing it for different reasons, I think.
Mm-hmm. True. Rich, Jared, anybody? I think you guys are all probably folks that naturally stay motivated, so it's probably not as much of a challenge.
Yeah, I grew up. My parents, it was just what we did was you worked, and now it's just kind of transferred over into working out's now my job, and but I enjoy it. You know, and I tell a lot of people, don't make working out an added stress. You know, have fun with it. Don't, you know, yeah, you're gonna have some days where you don't feel like doing something, but do something. And there's gonna be days that you don't hit certain numbers you want to hit, or things like that. But leave the stressing while working out to people like us that it's our job, and you know, enjoy it.
Good advice.
Yeah, Rich, I think there was a great point you added in there, and that was that try and just do something. I know there's days up here where, man, I tell you what, it just doesn't go well, but I think those are some of the most important days is to get through those workouts because you're still getting a little bit better, even though from your performance standpoint it may not be your best lift or your best bike ride or run, but I think those days are critical.
Yep.
Okay, one other question that we got via Twitter was from @CellYB. How do you control your perspiration while exercising in space? I'm sure this is one probably a lot of people maybe are curious about.
Yeah, it's interesting. We sweat quite a bit up here because we do push ourselves pretty hard, and instead of the sweat, running down your face and running down your body, it just basically pools on your arms, on your head, and if you just shake yourself a little bit, sweat goes everywhere. So you try to avoid that, just just out of concern for your fellow crewmates. So basically, I just keep a towel with me all times, and just like I do on the ground, if I'm running or doing something, I just wipe myself semi-dry with the towel. But it's not much different than what we do down in the gym down there.
Okay, we have one other question. Let's see. This is from @SkipMorrow on Twitter. What type of physical fitness data is collected from the astronauts? Is anything different collected from Astro Alumni?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So when we're our weights, of course, all of that is going down to the folks on the ground, and they're analyzing that, and they're making adjustments to our workouts from our weight standpoint. And then from the T2, the treadmill and the exercise bike, we wear a heart monitor on that, and so they're recording our heart rates and the loads that we're running on, and the speed. So for the treadmill, we have to put a harness on, and it's attached to a bungee, and by adjusting the length of that bungee, we can adjust how much load is that we're running with. So my goal is to try and run with full body weight, which means, of course, now I'm carrying 180 pounds on my shoulders while I'm running. We also do a physical fitness test while we're up here, where we'll actually hook ourselves up to an EKG, and we'll be having our blood pressure taken as well as our heart rate as we ride on the bike. Interesting on that, how it's calculated, there's some errors in there, but within 2 weeks of launching and being up in space, my fitness level, as they defined it, had dropped 15%. And so from that point on, it's just trying to, a battle to try and get yourself back to that shape that you were in before you launched.
Wow, interesting. Okay, and I'm told from Mission Control we just have about 2 or 3 more minutes with the station crew, so I definitely want to open it up again to our special participants. Any last questions for Mike and Rick before we have to sign off?
Yeah, we had one more question for you guys up there. When you get back down to Earth, how long does it take you to get acclimated to what you would have done before you took off?
Yeah, this is a good question. This is my 4th time up here at the International Space Station, but my previous 3 missions were only 2-week missions. And, of course, recovering from a 2-week mission only took, a handful of days, if you will, 2 or 3 days, and you were back to pretty much normal. So it's going to be interesting to see when I get back here in 3 months after being up here for 6 months what the recovery process is going to be. From what I understand, the exercise devices, the lifting, the running, the biking that we do up here pretty much maintain our health. Even some folks are coming home stronger than they did before they left, than they were before they left. So I think the recovery process is going to be pretty quick. We do go through some kind of recovery that's, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks. So it doesn't take very long.
Great. Mike and Rick, I think we're probably pretty close to having to sign off with you guys, but we want to thank you so much for participating and talking with us, and it's great to see you both up there. Definitely want to let you have any parting words before we have to sign off.
Yeah, of course, go Team USA, certainly. We're looking forward to watching all of the events that we can up here. We'll certainly be watching bobsledding. And for Jared and Rich, I know you guys are starting to build up for the next season, so best of luck to you, and I hope we can do this again.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, well, we're going to continue to hang out, and we'll let the station crew sign off. But again, you want to turn it back.
This is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Google Plus participants and NASA social media followers. Station, we're now returning to your operational audio communications.
All right, so that was fun to see them and see the ARED. I'm curious, were you guys kind of surprised on what that equipment looks like? I always think it doesn't even look like exercise equipment to me. It looks like this really intricate engineered contraption.
You have to learn how to use it on Earth before you can use it there. So it is a little different.
Yeah, and it's pretty serious from what
serious.
I understand about making sure that you're really operating it properly.
Exactly, and making sure that the loads that you dial in are those loads on station. So yeah, it's a very unique engineering feat, I think.
Right.
the way it's designed. But it does its job. I mean, when you see these guys come back now, physically there's hardly anything wrong. I mean, there's inner ear stability that has to come back, but physically, they're virtually coming back stronger. So that's a great thing.
So even you have already started your training on those unique, like that treadmill?
Not full training,
Okay.
but we get a good introduction. But once you're assigned, then you get full training.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, we definitely still have some time, so we'd love to continue the conversation and take any questions, that you guys may have just for each other or Jeanette. And we'll continue to check social media as well.
Yes.
Again, one other question, I guess, about training in space. I spend my summertime in Colorado Springs, and the altitude there plays a factor. I'm just kind of wondering about the air pressure that you have in there. I'm guessing you try to set it as close to sea level as possible. Is that true? Or will that affect the athletes when they train too?
That's correct. I haven't flown, but the atmosphere is the same as you would have here on Earth. So there should be no difference. I know the Mile High City is the higher you are, the pressure to breathe is different, but the on station is virtually the same here as here on Earth. So.
Gotcha. Good question, though.
That's a great question.
Yeah. All right. Any others? And just for any of our viewers, again, you can use the hashtag AskNASA if you want to submit a question for our special group. So, any others? No? Okay, let's see. We had some others. Let's see. I guess just a common question about which is your favorite exercise. Maybe you can tell us yours, Jeanette.
Well, so because I did a lot of running, I like to do more aerobic exercise than the weightlifting. The weightlifting is tough, but I have to get that in there at least twice a week. Heavy weights at least twice a week, and do a lot of running and not so much biking, but spin class to really get my heart rate up, and also the pre-core. So running, pre-core, cycling, and then weights.
Gotcha.
So there's a whole group of things. I mean, I wonder what I guess the CrossFit guru, what do you do on a given day for in order to get ready for a competition?
It just kind of depends. There's I do a lot of the Olympic lifting, a lot of different power lifts, weights, body weight, and pretty much anything. That's the beauty of CrossFit is there's so many different things that you can do or you need to do to be ready for what we do. Because we train for a year not knowing what the events are or what we're going to have to do. So you want to be in the best shape possible.
And how many hours a day do you do that?
A lot. I don't know if there's an exact number, but it's a little obsessive sometimes.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Yeah. What about you guys, Curtis? How many hours, like an average training day? I'm assuming it's most of the day. It's like a job.
Yeah, this is our full-time job minus the paying part, I guess. But yeah, we train on average probably 5-6 hours a day, either trying to take practice runs in a bobsled or lifting weights or sprints. And then when we're not doing that, we're very conscious of our meals, recovery time, and that sort of thing. So it's always seems like we're focused on bobsledding.
The other thing is the diet. How do you guys eat? I know that I kind of had to go a lot more organic and natural foods in order to kind of up my game as well. Eating out at different restaurants and eating crap, it just doesn't work.
Right.
You have to eat really good food. So what do you guys eat in order to maintain as well?
That's a good question for all of you, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on that. My diet's not...
We talked about this on the first Hangout. Yeah. You told us a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I like food.
Gotcha. Jared?
Really, I don't have a limit to what I can eat either, but I do try and do kind of more no carbs, more protein than carbs. But you got to have carbs in order to play the game I play to have that energy. So no pop, no nothing like that. Strictly water and Gatorade. Not that much though, but like everybody else said, it's you feel a whole lot better. You feel like you have more wind when you're running when you eat better.
Our diet, I think, is it varies quite a bit from athlete to athlete. We usually try high protein, mostly low fat, but at the same time, we don't have a weight limit, where we don't have a max weight limit for each individual person. We have a max weight limit for us as a team, and we want to be as close to that max as we can. So mass is a good thing. So we try to put on weight sometimes to keep a heavy sled as we go down the hill. So our diet can vary based on who our teammates are sometimes.
Interesting.
So it's you know, kind of interesting for the crew on orbit. You know, they've got this food that's sent up sometimes, usually months ahead, and you get to select a few. I guess a year ahead
items.
you select, and then you can get some bonus special items sent up from your family a little bit.
Yeah.
But for you guys, do you? I know the Olympians have a special. I'm assuming you have your own nutritionist and a chef. I don't know.
Yeah, we do have a dietitians and nutritionists on staff here, and they help us out a lot. At the same time, there is a free McDonald's at the Olympic Village too that we can splurge on and get food there too. So it's basically up to us. You know, we know how our bodies react, and we just have to be smart about it. And experience has taught us how to eat and how to perform well.
Yeah. So it's hard to believe.
I know.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, we were actually wondering how many calories an astronaut goes through while on the International Space Station per day.
Well, I think we're allotted like 2,700 calories a day, but you can eat more. I mean, with the snacks that are sent up and different things. So I think it's around 2,700 calories.
A lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
It seems like that's a common thing I've heard though about keeping the weight on, and I don't know if it's a combination of being so busy that they don't eat as much as well.
And the workout, and well, I'm not sure why, but they're very busy. They're working out all the time. It seems like you need a lot more calories in order to sustain, and then your body's working a little harder as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Gotcha. And the fluid shift probably is also contributing to the.
And you don't, exactly.
Not want so much.
So you don't retain as much water as well. So you do automatically lose that weight. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. Was there anything that surprised you guys about seeing Mike and Rick on orbit? I'm just kind of curious if any of you are space fans or had been following, or maybe already knew all about the space station.
I wasn't expecting polo and khakis.
Yeah. Yeah, they can wear pretty much anything now. They have to choose it in advance, and it usually has a lot of Velcro on it.
That's right.
That's the trademark of space clothing, I think, is Velcro.
Stick your notebook on you or your pencils,
Yeah.
That's right.
We should have had some food props, because I always thought that's interesting too. The food tray is just Velcro.
Yes.
And the springs, I think, to pack stuff in or to tuck things into. So
just the little straps to play, the bungees. We should
exactly. Next hangout, we'll have space food too. So. But all right, we'll do one last check for any social media questions, and I'm hearing none. I think everything that we had was for Mike specific, or Mike or Rick. So. Unless you guys have any others, we can wrap it up unless there's any final questions from anybody. Okay. Well, thank you guys again so much. It's really been fun to talk to you all again, especially since we talked with Mike pre-launch, and now to get to reconnect with him on orbit, and hopefully everybody will stay tuned for his landing, and maybe we'll do another one after his return and really talk to him about that adjustment, because
the recovery phase.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it seems to vary to some degree by crew member by crew member. So, but in the meantime, we'll follow all of you and definitely our bobsled team. So thank you again, all of you guys, for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. So thanks so much.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.